Hello, everybody. So here's the case today that we are discussing. So this is a slightly elderly patient with keratotic plaque on the sort of perianal area, as you can see here. Now, in an elderly person, when you're seeing a keratotic plaque like this, especially when it's got sort of irregular surface, some crusting, some suggestion of irregularity on the surface, such a large lesion, you're usually thinking malignant or at least pre-malignant. The size is probably a bit too large for benign seborrheic keratosis, which, if you're seeing just this lesion, you may suspect. But this is quite a large lesion. All right. So, what does the histology show? So, the first histology here, the first set of images, essentially show what we call acanthosis with epitheliomatous hyperplasia. Now, there are two terms that you need to be familiar with. One is pseudoepitheliomatous hyperplasia. So, epitheliomatous means tumorous, tumor-like. Okay. So, this is tumor-like hyperplasia. Okay. So, the epidermis is acanthotic, it is hyperplastic, it is multiplied, and it is tumor-like because you can see here it's dark, quite hyperchromatic, and quite irregular. The retiridges are elongated quite irregularly, and quite a thick lesion. Now, what does pseudoepitheliomatous mean? We have used this term previously. Pseudoepitheliomatous is used in the context of an inflammatory lesion where there is a reactive hyperplasia of the epidermis simulating an epithelioma, meaning a tumor. So this is not pseudoepitheliomatous because this is a true tumor. This is not a pseudotumor. This is not an inflammatory lesion. Why is this not a simple inflammatory lesion? Well, simply because you can see on higher power that there is complete loss of polarity. So the basal layer, which should be here, which should have columnar cells lining along the basal layer, they seem to have been replaced by this sort of cuboidal cells here, more sort of epithelioid and cuboidal cells. They are no longer columnar. The basal layer is usually columnar, hyperchromatic slightly. Here the cells are hyperchromatic throughout. There is loss of polarity. The nuclei are quite atypical. You can see that there's nuclear hyperchromasia. The cells are, some are large, some are small. So there is loss of polarity in the sense that the cells do not have a direction in which they are growing. Normally the cells, the epidermal cells, they're the basal layer which is columnar, then they become cuboidal as they go up, and then they flatten off into squames, and then they eventually become quite flat. Here the cells are losing, they don't have a direction, they're haphazardly arranged. Can you make that out here? And here as well you can see the cells, there is apoptosis. How do I know there's apoptosis? Because you can see this sort of pink material, these are apoptotic cells. So the cells are sort of dying prematurely. So this is dyskeratosis. So we call this dyskeratosis, where there is keratin production here. That's what's giving the cytoplasm slightly pink color as well. But the keratin normally the epidermal cells carry the keratin with them as they mature up, and it forms a stratum corneum. Here the cells are prematurely keratinizing. Okay, so there is dyskeratosis, cellular atypia, pleomorphism, loss of polarity. So you can make that all out here. And these are sort of apoptotic cells. The cells are dying prematurely. And this high power image, which is this sort of high power of this retiridge here, you're seeing marked hyperchromasia. The cells have become quite blue, and this is probably a follicular structure. Actually, you can see this is probably a hair follicle, and the tumor cells are extending on the infundibulum unit. Okay, now this is a higher power nice image of the same showing you, and there is definite melanin incontinence here. You can also make out the loss of polarity here as well. There is no sort of direction of maturation is completely gone wrong. What also you see is reactive inflammation. So these are all lymphocytes here. There is a sort of lichenoid infiltrate. Now in any tumor, there is bound to be a reactive inflammatory infiltrate. When, say for example, in hypertrophic lichen planus, the inflammation is very intense, band-like, you may see some reactive basal atypia. So even in an inflammatory condition, there is some atopia of the basal keratinocytes, where the keratinocytes are interacting with the inflammatory lymphocytes. Because of the intensity of inflammation, there is some dysmaturity happening, but then it's restricted to the basal layer in, say, hypertrophic lichen planus. Or if, for example, any inflammatory condition, when there is reactive atopia, it is only in the basal layer. When it's throughout the full thickness of the epidermis, as in this case, it is no longer just simply reactive to the inflammation. In fact, the inflammation is reactive to the tumor, because the body is trying to react against the foreign body, which in this case is the tumor cells. All right. Here you can see that as cells mature, they sort of assume the glassy appearance, and there is parakeratosis as well. This is all part of the dyskeratotic dysmaturation of the keratinocytes. Massive melanin incontinence. Now, I've explained this previously. In Indian skin, almost every tumor tends to be pigmented, because when the epidermis is stimulated by or when the melanocytes are stimulated by the inflammation, by the surrounding keratinocytes which are multiplying so fast, these melanocytes also try to multiply fast, or sort of increase their metabolism and produce more melanin, and in the process the tumor cells become pigmented, and also there is pigment incontinence. So just because there is pigmentation within a tumor, this does not automatically become a pigmented tumor. Some people may still use that term. I don't tend to give that much importance, because almost every tumor in Indian skin is pigmented. So we may call it this pigmented Bowen's disease. Now the answer here is Bowen's disease. The reason being, there is full thickness epidermal dysplasia. Now, why is this not basal cell carcinoma? Basal cell carcinoma, there is not this much of dysmaturation. There is not this much of loss of polarity. There is clear palisading of the basal layer with hyperchromasia, and often, you don't see these sort of loss of polarity, and the epidermal keratinocytes are not this disorganized. The dysplasia does not extend to the higher parts of the epidermis, higher layers of the epidermis. Okay. What are the other differentials? Malignant melanoma, well, there is pigment incontinence, but this is not a melanoma, because there are hardly any melanocytes. Melanocytes are sort of these clear cells at the basal layer. There's one there, probably one there. So these are melanocytes which are sort of have a clearer cytoplasm with an eccentric push. The nucleus is pushed towards one side. So these are probably melanocytes. These are not all melanocytes. These are simply apoptotic keratinocytes. The keratinocytes have sort of developed a clear cell change. Because of dysmaturation, they become abnormal, atypical. These are not melanocytes. Paget's disease is completely different. I will show you a case and discuss it maybe in the next few weeks, so that you can understand how Paget's looks like. Without showing it, it's difficult to explain what it exactly looks like, but often you see ductal differentiation within it. These are not ducts. This is just clear cell change. So porokeratosis, you should see a porokeratotic lamella, and there is no dysplasia within porokeratosis. Hypertrophic lichen planus, I've already explained. You should see a much dense lichenoid infiltrate, and atopia is not this intense. Lichenoid keratosis is a term used when we see a lichen planus like histology, and we can't see an original precursor lesion. This is not lichenoid keratosis. This is not basal carcinoma, and this is not basal papilloma either. This is not a seborrheic keratosis, because simply the amount of atopia is incompatible, and you often see pseudohorn cysts, etc. in a basal papilloma. And I've explained earlier, in basal papilloma, usually you can draw a line underneath the tumor. The tumor does not push into the dermis like in this case. Even though the tumor is sitting above the surface here, it is going into the dermis, as you can see here. Basal papilloma has usually a flat base. So you can go through the video of basal papilloma that we discussed a few weeks ago, so that you can understand better. Thank you very much.